Mic check, mic check.
I can hear you, Jordan. I've made you host, and I've got to dip out for another meeting. Thank you, everybody, for showing up.
All right, hello everybody. So we are just going to give it a couple more minutes, let anybody else that is going to jump in, and then we'll get started. I don't see this taking very long though. All right, so it is 2:01, so we're going to go ahead and just jump right into this. If you have any questions throughout this presentation at all, just go ahead and put them into the chat box, and I will try to catch those as we go. All right, so I'm going to start off by sharing my screen. So today's Legistar training is going to cover agenda creation. And what we're going to do is we're going to start from the very scratch, creating an agenda, loading items into the agenda, and then publishing that agenda. So starting from the Legistar home screen, we're going to go to the Agendas tab on the left-hand side. And then we're going to work pretty much top, middle, and then to the bottom. So starting from the top, we're going to select New. And then this is where you're going to see in this middle section your agenda meeting information. So who is this agenda going to be for? For this test purposes, we are actually going to do the boards and commission council subcommittee. We will keep this the same for just right now. The date of the meeting is going to be on the 31st, and the time it's going to start is 5 p.m. So once we select save, it's going to automatically publish the agenda in the agendas tab. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to move into the actual agenda tab. So in this middle section right next to calendar, we're going to select agenda. And then right now we have a blank agenda. And so now we have to get our items into the agenda. So we're going to select generate down here in the bottom left-hand corner. And when we select generate, it's going to pull in the default headers. And I do not see those items I created, but that'll work. So primarily this is going to be for boards and commissions, and what you can do is you can actually work with these agenda headers and rename them for what you might need. Normally what would happen is this would pull in items that you've created for the agenda and establish for this agenda date and specifically the body that you're drafting the agenda for. But that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and do admin business. So say you have a presentation or some kind of proclamation that you're trying to add to this agenda and you've actually created it as an agenda item in Legistar. What you can do is you can right click, add after selected line. And then this is going to switch from a header / comment to agenda item. And then you're just going to put the file number or name in. So 21-75. And then click save. I actually have another one. So add after selected item. Again, it's going to default to the agenda item that you're trying to pull in. So 2176. And now normally what will happen is when you create an agenda item, you put it for the body that you're doing. So whether that's the Public Safety Advisory Board, Park Recreation and Golf Advisory Commission, any of the boards or commissions that you're going to be creating an agenda for, you'll be able to designate what item or what body this is going for, and then the agenda date and time, or the agenda date. And when you click generate, it should normally pull those items in automatically. However, we had to do it manually, which is still a good learning example. You will see the file status on the right-hand side here. So both of these are agenda ready. So what we're going to do now is we are going to work with these actual headers. So I know for a lot of boards and commissions, you might not have agenda items that you're going to be working with. So like admin business, consent agenda, citizen communication, things like that. You might not have an actual agenda item. You might just need to use agenda headers. And so what you can do is, all you would have to do, we'll keep approval of minutes, because when you're on the next Legistar training, when we show how to generate and bring your minutes in front of the board and then bring them back for actual approval, we'll keep that one in there. All you have to do is select the line item, go to description, and we'll call this old business, and make sure that it is in the correct order. So we have 1, 2, and 3. And we don't need this information, so we can select all of this, backspace, save, and OK. And then you would just do that for all of the items that you are going to be using. So whether that's some kind of speaker, or proclamations, you can add a header. Let's say you have announcements that you're going to use. So we can just put in announcements. So now we're looking at all of the items that we have for our agenda, and these look like what we're going to use, what's going to be used for the agenda. But we need to rearrange them, and we need to take a couple of them out. So we're not going to use consent agenda or other business. So what we can do is we can actually select consent agenda. And just like adding an item, all you have to do is right click, and then you can delete an item. It will ask you, are you sure you want to delete the selected history line item? Select yes, and then it's deleted. Now, one thing that I've learned from practice with this is make sure that you have the actual line item, so that you're trying to delete selected. I've been working in a line item and then happen to see something I don't need on an agenda, so I'll right click it and then go to delete it, and actually end up deleting the line item that I'm working on. And so we'll keep new business, old business, and we don't need other business either. So let's get rid of other business. All right, so now we have all of the items that we're going to use on the agenda, but we need to move them around and put them in the correct order. So we're going to keep the approval of minutes first. We'll keep old business first, but we want to bring new business right above announcements. All you need to do is select that line item and then click, and you can actually drag it, and we'll drag it just above announcements. And it'll ask just a confirmation, move line item 5 before 4, hit OK, and then it'll move it. And we'll keep administrative business where it's at, but we want to move announcements below it. So we'll do some announcements right before we adjourn. So we click and drag just below the agenda item that we brought in. And it'll ask again, move line 5 after 8. We'll select OK. So now we have the order of the agenda that we're going to be using. All of the items look good, but we have to make sure that we double, triple, quadruple check these items on the side. We want to make sure that they're numbered in order. And all you have to do is go to item number, put in 4, put in 5, put in 6, and finally number 7. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So all of our agenda headers are on the agenda. All of the agenda items are on the agenda. All of the headers are in order and numbered correctly. Now, the final thing that we're going to do, and this is going to be something a little bit different. I don't think we've been doing with boards and commissions specifically, but we're going to make sure for the time being with the Zoom registrations, we want to add those to the call to order. And this is similar to what we do with the city council agenda. And this just allows another place for the public to be able to register or join the meeting. I know I've talked to some of you, and when we had our last liaison discussion, we worked with community relations to get the reoccurring webinars set up to where you would have that as your calendar link. The public could click on it and then register individually for the meeting that they'd like to attend. So this is just going to be another place that the public can join your meeting. So I actually have pulled one from a city council meeting, and where we're going to put this is in the call to order / roll call. And so in the comment section, just beneath description, we're going to click on this magnifying glass, and we're going to paste this in here. Now, the city council uses times just as kind of a rough estimate to allow the public, if they'd like to comment on something or if they'd like to see something specifically, there's a roundabout estimate of the time that item is going to be going in front of the city council. So if you do use times, I would suggest putting the times given are estimates only, just to let people know that it's not going to specifically go in front of the board or the commission at this exact time, but roughly this is what we're thinking. And then this is where you would copy and paste your Zoom webinar registration. And once we have this in here, we just can hit save and OK. And so one thing before we move on to this last part, in this call to order and roll call, if you don't do a roll call and you just do a call to order, you have your chair or vice chair, who's ever leading the meeting, you can actually just get rid of this and keep it as call to order. And then once it automatically saves, it's going to bring this and you'll see the little preview right here and comment, times given are estimates only, Zoom registration. And for the last part, and this is one that we're going to keep moving forward, it's going to be our ADA language. And we'll have this in the supporting documentation that we're going to send out after the training. But what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the adjourn section. So we're going to select the adjourn line item, and then underneath description in the comment box, we're going to open with the magnifying glass, and then we're going to paste this language in here. And this is just basically saying anybody who wants to have extra either visually impaired or hearing impaired help brought to the meeting, to contact the liaison before the meeting as soon as possible. And so you would just put your contact information here. A trick of the trade that I use is once you've put this into an agenda, when you go to create the next agenda, which might be the following month, just copy and paste this language right from that agenda. So once we have the ADA language in there, we're going to click save and OK. We can click save in the top left-hand corner. And now it looks like everything is in place. We have all of our headers. They're in the right place. They're all numbered correctly. Our agenda items are brought into the agenda, and they're all agenda ready. So now it's going to be finalizing this agenda, and then we're going to publish it. So just double click save to make sure, and then we're going to go back to the calendar tab in this top left-hand corner area. And we're going to click on the status bar. But before we do this, there's also another thing that I want to touch on. So you're not going to necessarily need this information because this is specifically more for city council. But right now, since we are using Zoom webinars, I think it would be best to put via Zoom here, because when we publish this and it goes on to the commerce.legistar.com website, the public will be able to see just a little snapshot of the agenda, and they'll be able to know, okay, this is going to be a Zoom meeting. And then that'll be another designation whenever we start to go back to in-person in the new normal. It'll go from via Zoom to room number, and then people will be able to find the meeting that way as well. So we put via Zoom. We don't need anything in the notes comment right now. Now we're going to finalize this agenda. So we're going to go to the status drop-down menu, and we're going to click final. And then we are going to click save in the top left-hand corner. Now, once we do that, it's going to lock this agenda so it can no longer be edited unless we unlock it. And then we can go in and we can make any adjustments that we need to. Now, let's say we decided we're going to hold off on the announcements. So we're going to get rid of this announcements. See, I just almost made the cardinal error. I was going to delete this one. So we select line item. We're going to get rid of announcements. And we are going to move this to line item number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we can save it. And now say we had already published this agenda and we were going to go back and make that change. And we had already set this to final, published it out, it was on the website. What you want to make sure that you do is you go down here, when you go to the status bar, and you click final revised, just to kind of let the public know, hey, this meeting was revised, it's a new agenda, if you want to download it, you can. So now we're going to click save. We'll set this to final right now. We're going to click save, and that again automatically locks the agenda. And so now we can actually publish this to the commerce.legistar.com website. So we're going to go to the reports tab in this top, jumped ahead of myself. We're going to go to the tools in this top bar right here. And we are going to export data. And you can leave the duration at 60 minutes. If it's going to be a 2-hour meeting, you can bump it up to 120. This is kind of just for general information purposes. For camera, I know that we're not recording the board and commission meetings like we do the city council, but just to make sure that everything flows the same, we're going to set this to Commerce City 01 ENC. And then the archive folder is going to be boards and commissions meeting. And the player template is going to be Video Center Player 16:9, and the archive status is going to be public. I know this is a lot of just kind of tedious information. This will be in that supplemental packet that we'll send out after this training. So once we have all this information put into here, we can actually go ahead and export the data. And this is basically building the digital version of the agenda. And you'll have a little progress bar to let you know. And once it's complete, it's going to tell you that the Legistar meeting has been exported to Media Manager, and you can just select OK. So this is where Legistar gets just a little finicky. So we've exported the agenda, and now we have to wait just a couple minutes before we actually publish it to the website. For training purposes, we will actually just go ahead and publish it now. So what you would do is you wait the 3 to 5 minutes just to make sure that it's in Granicus's system. And then we're going to go to this top right-hand corner and click Reports. And it's always the second meeting agenda. I don't know why it's not the first. I don't know why it's only the second. All I know is it's only the meeting agenda, the second one. So we're going to click Meeting Agenda. And this is going to bring us to the actual publication page. What you can do is this will actually, the drop-down menu is where you'll select Publish to Insight, but we can actually run this as a PDF first if we want, just to double check. But when you do publish it to the commerce.legistar.com website, it will generate a PDF version for you right then and there. So what we do is we've waited the time, we're ready to publish it to the website. We go to Publish to Insight, space calendar. And then you want to make sure that all of these boxes are checked. We'll make sure that there's a picture of this in that supplemental material, just to make sure that your settings are the same as well. That way it pulls in all of the correct information. So we've double checked the boxes, everything looks good. We're publishing the insight. We're going to click Run. And now it has actually pulled up a PDF version of our agenda. And then what we'll be able to do is we'll wait a couple minutes and it should generate on the commerce.legistar.com page. So while we're just kind of waiting for that to generate, see if we can pull up that example. Let's go ahead and do a new share. One thing I also kind of want to touch on, and you'll have to forgive me. Interesting. Okay. So I got a little bit ahead of myself, but one thing I want to show you also, and I know for primarily boards and commissions, we're going to use just headers and not actual agenda items. What you can do is, let's say old business, you have the topics that you want to discuss. The way that you can put this actually on the agenda is that same area where we put the Zoom registration link and the ADA information. Underneath old business, you go to comment, and then this is where you can do space dash last week's presentation, yearly goal review. This is where you can put that information. And what will happen is, whenever you publish the agenda, these will actually show up as items underneath there. So an example I can give you is the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission uses this form as well as agenda items for some things. So here's an example of the DEI Commission. They have a presentation, so it was an agenda item that they created in Legistar, and then they pulled it into this agenda, put it underneath presentation. But then what they also use is these little kind of topic leaders underneath their headers. And so if you don't primarily use agenda items, but you have things that you are going to discuss and you want to let your board or commission know that, or the public as well, this is where you can do that. And you would do that using that comment section underneath the header. Now let me double check to see if And so this is the commerce.legistar.com page, and we pulled up the boards and commission council subcommittee. And right now our meeting is still hasn't updated just yet. So this could definitely take between 5 to 10 minutes. It's one of the little quirks that Legistar has when it comes to actually publishing the agenda. But once the agenda is published, you'll be able to see the meeting details, and then this agenda will be populated here. My recommendation is, once you actually have confirmation that the agenda has been published to commerce.legistar.com, it would be to download this agenda, simply click on it, and then save that PDF copy to your desktop or to a folder, however you have it set up, and then use that agenda to send to your board or commission before the meeting. That way they have the agenda going into the meeting. They don't have to go to the website or email you for the agenda. It's always best to just send that out to them, a few days before the actual the meeting, at least a week. So with that, that is actually the training. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns that anybody might have that we can discuss real quick? All right. Seeing none, that is all I have. If you all ever need any extra help or just kind of review on this, we're going to have this session recorded and on our SharePoint, so you'll be able to access it. Or you could always just email me, and I'm always available to help with any questions or concerns that you may have. But with that, that's all I have. If you don't have any questions, guys are free to go. Save 5 minutes. I was hoping that it wouldn't take the full 30. So thank you all for coming. And again, if you have any questions, just let myself or Dylan know, and we'll be able to help you. Thank you.